Jananim Sharadam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayo Shritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu. Sri Ramakrishna is explaining the states of a man who has realized God in its absolute sense as the impersonal absolute, the ultimate experience in and through a human form, in and through a human bodily existence. And also what that object is, which is always indicated by the souls who have realized it. So, no one has ever been able to say what Brahman is. Vidyasagar to his friends, "Oh, that's a remarkable statement. I have learned something new today." What God is in essence and reality, what it is, what is that endless, seamless existence in which universe and all beings in it appear and disappear time and again. That unchanging eternal reality is being described. Now he comes to the experience. Why it has not been defiled by tongue, it has not been explained. No one has ever been able to say what Brahman is. Why so? A man had 2 sons. The father sent them to a preceptor to learn the knowledge of Brahman. After a few years, they returned from their preceptor's house and bowed low before their father. Wanting to measure the depth of their knowledge of Brahman, he first questioned the older of the 2 boys. "My child," he said, "you have studied all the scriptures. Now tell me, what is the nature of Brahman?" The boy began to explain Brahman by reciting various texts from the Vedas. The father did not say anything. Then he asked the younger son the same question. But the boy remained silent and stood with eyes cast down. No word escaped his lips. The father was pleased and said to him, "My child, you have understood a little of Brahman. What it is cannot be expressed through words." So, when one experiences Brahman, the absolute existence, by transcending this relative existence, by transcending one's own existence, limited bodily existence, and enters into the transcendental realm and experiences that the beyond, then he becomes silent. He experiences, he cannot explain what it is by any means because it is inexpressible through words. It cannot be perceived through senses. It cannot be conceived by mind. It cannot be discerned by intellect. Because it is beyond time and space. Whatever is within the realm of time and space can be conceived by mind and discerned by intellect. The cognition is possible, whatever is within the limits of time and space. What is beyond cannot be. What is timeless existence, spaceless existence, spaceless existence, space itself is not there. What is that existence in which the space and time appears and disappears with the universe? Time appears with the universe and disappears with the universe. So, beyond time, mind cannot conceive. What is timeless existence? What is spaceless existence? We have never, because it is the limitation of senses and mind. You see, each has a limit. My eyes can see certain range of light. Now, from ultraviolet to infrared. Beyond that, it is imperceptible. Ultraviolet and infrared is invisible. Between red and violet, all the rays are visible to human eyes. Similarly, particular decibels are heard by the ear. Beyond supersonic and below the infrasonic, the sound cannot be heard. We cannot see very far off things. We cannot see very minute things like bacteria, viruses and all with naked eye. And this has limitation. Similarly, mind, to conceive, to understand, it has limitation. It cannot understand things beyond time and space. So, the experience will be, I am a river with name and form. I have a place of origin from where I flow down. And ultimately, till I reach the ocean, I go, flow. I have name and form. And then just when I enter into the river, so sea, when I as river enter into the sea, I have no more identity. This sea of consciousness has no limitations, no boundary, no end, no beginning. It is vast in itself. So, just like Nama Rupe Vihaya, giving up the name and form, I enter into the ocean to become one with the ocean, where there is no duality. I am that. Once I enter into the ocean, I am ocean. If other than me something is there, I can understand. Eyes cannot see itself. The self cannot see itself. The self knows by self in self. So beyond, there is no duality, so there is no knower and the known. The triputis, the knower, the known and the knowledge. Triad. This triad is absent when we enter into the absolute. Even Saguna Sakara, when a person enters into Savikalpa Samadhi and experiences personal God, then also the triad remains. The seer, the seen and the sight remains. The experiencer experienced and the experienced remains. But when it enters into the realm beyond, the triad dissolves. The seer and seen become one. The worshipper and worshipped become one. When there is no duality, who will know whom? What is the knowing? I experience myself being the ocean of bliss. And that, how can I explain to others? So, when the river enters into ocean, it becomes silent. It has nothing to say or tell. And when from the samadhi sthiti, nirvikalpa sthiti of experiencing the impersonal absolute, when the consciousness, individual consciousness, again gets separated by grace of the divine or the divine mother with a particular purpose. He is Purna, he has nothing to gain or lose anymore. He is that. And when by the will of divine, he comes back to the normal state, the coming back to normal state is Vyutthana. When it comes to the Utthana sthiti, these are all different levels of consciousness. From the lowest physical awareness of consciousness, we go on layer by layer to higher levels of consciousness. Muladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddha, Ajna, Sahasrara. We go on each layer of existence, each level of consciousness gives a particular version of the universe. We have particular experiences. Just like when we enter into sleep, we completely lose this universe and this body which belongs to the universe. I am separated from it. I experience dream world, another version of the subtle existence. When I enter into deep sleep, still I enter into another state of consciousness. The state of consciousness, the various levels of consciousness. I am going deeper and deeper within. Now, suppose I expand to higher levels of consciousness or withdraw the consciousness from the waking state of the external world to a particular level of consciousness. Then I will be experiencing various levels of consciousness. That's like the three states of existence that we are passing through every day. Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. Each is an entirely different experience. We are in the same universe, but we are experiencing something entirely different, unimaginable. What is the difference between the waking state and dream state, or the dream state and the deep sleep, or deep sleep and waking state? No connections at all. It's a particular state of my consciousness. I experience that. When I enter into that particular state of consciousness of dream world, I start dreaming. When I come to the waking state, I start experiencing this physical world. When I enter into deep sleep, another state of consciousness in which I experience absence of all things, including time and space. Nothing exists. So various state of consciousness. Similarly, higher state of consciousness. I go bhu bhuva swaha, like the planes of existence where the beings live. The same universe has different planes of existence. I experience different states of consciousness. The whole universe has different planes. According to my karma, I can enter after leaving this body into any. Nature decides where I have to be, how I have to be, which body I have to wear, which experiences I have to get according to my karmic load. Where whole thing is decided. So our karmas are such, we enter into different planes of existence in the same universe. Now we are in a particular plane of existence called Bhu. Bhu, Swaha, Mahajana, Tapa, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Rasatala, Patala. All these 14 planes of existence. And each plane of existence had 3 layers, gross, subtle and causal. Stula, Sukshma, Karana. In us also, when we enter into Jagra, Swapna, Sushupti, we enter into these 3 layers of existence. Planes of existence, layers of existence. Layers of existence is gross, subtle and causal. Jagra, pertaining to Jagra, Swapna, Sushupti. Waking, dreaming and deep sleep. When we are in deep sleep, we are in causal level of existence. Gross level of existence, waking state. dreaming state, subtle level of existence. So we are passing through the three states. Like that, I can enter into superconscious states of higher and higher levels of consciousness, where I see an entirely different. As I experience these Bhubho Swama Janatapa and this Annamaya, Pranamaya, Vijnanamaya, when we go enter into, according to Vedanta, or according to the Tantras, the Muladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddha, Agnya, Sahasrara. These are all different paths, different experiences that we pass through. When we go from Annamaya to Pranamaya, turning inward in meditation, we get entirely different experiences. The physical world disappears. One by one layer, I am crossing of my existence and entering into the core where I see myself, infinite, eternal, immortal being. So, in this last ultimate experience, there is Jiva Tattva, Muladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, in which we commonly move about. And Anahata and Vishuddha is Prakriti Tattva, the participation of nature in me, pertaining to the two Tattvas, Vayu Tattva and Akasha Tattva. The lower are Bhu, Jala and Agni. Bhu, lowest, that is earth principle. Then Jala principle, Prithvi, Jala, water principle. In stomach, it is fire principle. Here, these three pertain to the Jiva Tattva, the heart in which the Lord and the Jiva, in their original state, independent of bodily existence, dwell here. And then here, the forms dissolve, the name and form. The Akasha Tattva, in Akasha there is no differences. Vayu Tattva, Akasha Tattva. And in here, we cross the limitations of nature and go beyond. In Agnya, we see an entirely another level of existence. The Prakriti nature is in her original state, independent of the universe. Universe, the Divine Mother, the Shakti, the Chit Shakti pertaining to Chaitanya, herself manifests as universe. And her existence, independent of being the universe, is the Agnya Chakra. Pure energy of the Chaitanya, Chit Shakti. From here, that pure divine begins. Nature ends here. Akasha Tattva. Akasha Vayu, Vayu Agni, Agni Rapa Advya Prithvi. All this whole creation. In creation, there is divine base, the Akasha Tattva onwards, the nature's participation and Jiva's participation. So, when we cross this throat, that is Akasha Tattva, we enter into the realm of Divine Mother, where there is no universe nor Jivatva. We enter into a highest of the Prakriti, of the nature, of the Shakti, of the energy level. Then the pure consciousness, in which the energy also merges, just like all my Shaktis, all my powers merge in my consciousness when I enter into deep sleep. All my, I can lift, I can see, I can do, I can think, I can write, all these powers become one with my consciousness in deep, second stage of deep sleep. Like that, the whole energy, the pure energy which has become the universe and Jiva enters and dissolves in the absolute existence, the pure consciousness, Shuddha Chaitanya. So this experience. When we experience that, when a person experiences the Absolute, he is no more there. The I, mind, intellect, everything has dissolved. And only what remains. The pure consciousness. What it is cannot be explained. The ocean, we indicate through the words, ocean of existence, consciousness, bliss, absolute, Satchidananda. Satchidananda are not its qualities, it is only a pointer to that. So when we say the ocean of bliss, peace, love, absolute, it's an indicator. It is an ocean, boundless ocean of love. It's a boundless ocean of bliss. Ocean. We cannot conceive what it is. The boundless. Even the universe has its boundary. We all have our boundary. We cannot be beyond that. So there we see it is entirely a different picture. So Sri Ramakrishna is explaining two sons of a sage. He sends to know what is Brahman, because the sages who have experienced know that knowledge to the realm beyond cannot be conceived by mind, but he can experience it, transcending the nature. Within the being, within the nature, he cannot understand or experience. Transcending the nature and going beyond, he can perceive and experience. There, the self is experiencing the self. Without the object and subject and object relationship. And what could be that? The two children go to the sage sends, know what is Brahman and come. Realize God in its absolute sense, eternal. You become immortal by that. Go and realize and come. So they go to the preceptor, studying for long number of years. The unknown has to be taught by known. Any amount of teaching, any amount of words being used, any amount of explanation is within time and space. It cannot reveal what it is. Suppose I tell about a particular taste of a sweet meat. When I cannot, some words, when I cannot explain how it tastes, I can bring some simile at least. It tastes like malpua, it tastes like Mysore pak, it tastes like gulab jamun. I can bring a simile. There is without simile. It cannot be compared with anything because it is beyond time and space. Within the time space, somehow the words, my words, it is similar to gulab jamun. These words makes a sense to him what it could be. Oh, I understand what it is. Because he has tasted another thing which is equal to that. But here, no simile can be given. In no way, words cannot explain that, what it is. So these two boys go, remain with the preceptor for a long time, and learning all the Vedas, scriptures, whatever he is able to, Guru giving so many things, supporting their knowledge, he tells them. But one of them realizes, and the other comes back with the intellectual understanding, what it is. Through scriptures, what scriptures, Vedas, when realization comes, Vedas become Aveda. Yesterday we saw Veda become Aveda. It becomes just a trash. The Vedas become a trash, which has no more meaning. They were only words. Realization is entirely different. But because he could not reach that state of realization, the elder one, he intellectually conceives through the words, but nedam yadidam upasate. It is not that what you conceive through the mind and try to worship or offer yourself to it. It is not that. It is beyond words. So, one of them, when asked, the elder one, he goes on explaining Brahman, Nainam Chindanti Shastrani, this, that, and all. Words, what can think, explain it. He goes on explaining. Brahman is this, Brahman is that, Brahman is like this, Brahman is that. It doesn't have hands and feet, it doesn't have senses. And all, it is pure reality, the ultimate existence, it is pure consciousness, Shuddha Chaitanya. And all these explanations he goes on giving. The father will be, he is enlightened soul. He listened to all that. Then he asks the same question to the younger one. The younger one just looks at the father's face, hears the question, and just bows down his head in silence. Nothing he is able to, no words, because words cannot explain what to tell about the thing which words cannot explain. What is the way of conveyance? Then father says, yes, the way in which he has become silent on asking what Brahman he is. But the bliss that his face is radiating, the absolute peace that he is experiencing, the unshakable status that Maya, the whole universe, the enchanting Maya cannot move his mind or intellect. Nothing can capture him. That state reveals him. Oh, he has realized a little. You have known the Brahman, a little, he says. My child, you have understood a little of Brahman. What it is cannot be expressed through words. Someone goes to a saint and asks, what is an incarnation of God? He says, just like we people are born in this world, God too takes a human form and comes to this world, but not out of the karma like us, but out of his own will, not imposed by nature, but through his own power, yielding to his own power, he comes down to teach mankind the path to freedom. Then he asks, from where does he come? From what does he come? What is his original status? What is his original form? The sage just starts looking at him and becomes silent. He doesn't say anything. He waits for 2 minutes. Did you understand my question? He asks. What are you thinking? What are you saying? Then after a long time, sage says, I have been answering your question. It is through silence. It has to be conveyed through silence. Nothing, it cannot, what is incarnation of God can be explained. What are the various forms of God can be explained. What is God? In original sense, the absolute existence, which becomes God, cannot be explained. So, we see the two sons issue. A little of the Brahman, what it is cannot be expressed through words. Men often think they have understood Brahman fully. People who have read about scriptures and all, studied, they usually feel that we know what Brahman is. Once an ant went to a hill of sugar. One grain filled its stomach. Taking another grain in its mouth, started homeward. On its way he thought, next time I shall carry home the whole hill. That is why shallow minds. That is the way shallow minds think. Niranjanam nityamanantarupam bhaktanukampa dhrutavigraham vai Ishavataram parameshamedhyam tam Ramakrishnam shirasa namamaha.